I have always been fascinated by interesting and powerful women, and I know a few, like my sister Annie, my mother Mammy, my grandmother Mamo, my great grandmother Mama, and my Tanti Vai, Matatai Mawu, Tau, Makayen, a very interesting lady too, Tonya, Miss Git, Miss Venti, Ma Ben, and there was a lady known as Susu. They call her Masusu. We had to call her Masusu, but now I can call Susu Susu because Susu is no longer there. So on this episode, I would like to speak about Susu, and I suspect Etta, her daughter, will get into the picture too. I know they have been reunited now, Susu, Etta, and Iben. Iben was Etta's husband and Susu was Etta's mom. So back in the day, we were told as children to be aware of Susu, because Susu, I remember very vividly, was slenderly built, well, strong enough, but she was not as heavy set as Etta was. She was kind of tall. She walked with a brisk stride, and she was always active. There was always something going on with Susu, man. And she liked to get involved with people. Stop you, ask you questions, give you stuff to eat, like fruits, guava, cherries, mangoes, passion fruit. She always had something to give. But we were told that we should not take things from Susu and, Susu, Neopatfu and, stuff like that. But no, Susu, to me, was not that. Because I defied the warnings and I used to take things from Susu. I used to even hug Susu as well. And Susu was always just so active, man. When you hug Susu, it's like you, Susu, she hardly ever stopped. She was always on the move. So while fellas or boys in the village were scared of Susu, I was Susu's little partner. And it is because of my liking and love for Susu, I grew a sort of affinity for Etta. I just loved people, women in particular. Miss Git, the names been alluded to her, and I didn't like it because Miss Git was just a nice, ordinary older person, very quiet, very timid. She never looked you in the eye. So I remember people like this very well, and they helped to nurture me. So I wanted to, on this episode, speak about those women. But most importantly, my dear friend, Susu. Susu would walk up and down the streets from the hill down to the village, not taking people on per se, but people would take her on. And Susu would react in ways that would cause people to feel that she is what they thought she was. But when you got in touch with Susu, who hardly ever smiled, I never remember seeing Susu smile as such. But when you got in touch with Susu and got into her world, Susu opens up to you. A part of Susu comes through that you never knew existed. She was a very tender and loving person inside, and I saw a lot of her in Etta, Gotete. Oh gosh, I love Etta. I really wish Etta was here now to hear me speak about Susu like that. But there are things that you can say about people while they're alive, and I believe when your loved ones pass, you can say so much more. So, Etta, forgive me about speaking about you and Susu so lovingly and upasatan. But the fact is the fact. And I see a lot of what I saw in Etta in Lillian and in Gogosto, in Augustina, Well, forget about Ugly. Ugly is a SpongeBob. Or Ugly, you just squeeze him and water come from him. He's a nice, very nice partner. One of my main buddies. But the fact is, I am remembering now, back in the day, my relationship with the character called Susu, and how that helped to guide me in terms of how I judge people. Judge not, and you may not be judged. And Susu was to me one of the most fun characters in my time as a boy in Calibishie. And Susu, I salute you today with love. Continue to rest in peace now that your daughter has come to join you. All kind of a bacchanal. Mais pas quoi, moi, ça, mon copain, oui. That's my Calibishie Chronicle. For this episode, we'll continue speaking on the next episode.